And so I said, that's my frog. There we go. Saved it in the end there.
Hi, welcome. This is the Slalt Cast. I'm your host, Daniel. I'm joined today by Frog Boy number 1, the frontman of Southbound, not wearing any pants, allegedly. I'm wondering how many titles I can add to continue to cut him off.
I'm Kobe. There we go.
Also joining us tonight, the man who doesn't understand the flow of the intro. It's unknown how much foreskin he has, but rumor has it it's a lot.
Look, I don't measure it in centimeters.
It's Joseph.
He measures it in kilometers.
And the man who has finally joined us in 2 Monitor Gang. He can see Twitch chat for the first time, and it's a whole new experience for him. We have Caden.
Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2.
He's still confused. He doesn't know that the screens aren't cameras.
Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2.
He thinks he's seeing a window into the soul.
Caden, what I need you to do is, for those of you at home who are just listening, you're like, what? Cameras? Huh? We also do this as a video podcast, available on YouTube, just so it's Slalt. And we also stream this live every Wednesday on twitch.tv/SlaltCast. Caden, what I need you to do is invest in a multi-$1,000 broadcast level media setup, just so you can do camera switching like they do in news.
I can.
You're just gonna get her do it, like move the camera, and then...
Camera 1, camera 2.
I saw something cool on Twitter today, where there was this guy who's like he's a streamer, but he's like a drummer. That's his gimmick on stream, and how he's like set up his cameras is there was like a bullet time effect in front of him. I want to see if I can find the tweet actually, because it looked fucking sick.
So like his stream went slow mo.
No, hold on.
Oh, holding.
Hold on.
I'm holding.
He had just like heaps of, because like on drums there's a lot of moving parts, and if you want performance,
your hands included.
Yeah,
they do move.
They do move.
It's actually mostly your hands moving.
If you want, if you want like, you know, everything to look cool, you usually want.
When you say the bullet time camera, do you mean it was on like a motion track and it was moving?
I think maybe. Hold on.
Because I saw. Are you guys familiar with the YouTuber Harris Heller, who's like Alpha Gaming? So he does a bunch of videos on just like tech stuff specifically related to streaming. So it's a bunch of like cameras and mics and shit. So as you can imagine, I love that stuff. And he got a camera rig where he's got similar how I do. He just has like a mirrorless camera, and he has it set up on like a track, and it just rocks back and forward. And so when he's on just his webcam, because he has like 4 cameras for his webcams, when he's on his like just his webcam, like just chatting scene, the camera's moving and he's just like following it, and it's this like really cool effect of him just going back and forward.
I sent it in the podcast.
You put it in assets.
Yeah.
God, I feel like Jamie right now. But do you want to continue giving background while I be Jamie?
Yeah. So he's just got like, you'll see how he does it. It's like within the first 5 seconds. Yeah, you might want to turn it off. I don't know if the music's copywritten or not. So it's a pretty cool effect with what he does. I don't know how he does it. Well, I'm assuming it's the camera moving, but...
So here we go. If I jump over here, we have the video in question. And he's drumming. This is actually very sick. So he's got like three different cameras, plus he has like a digital readout of what drums he's hitting.
Hold on.
Oh, and it's switching. Oh, shit.
Yeah, see that?
So that is like straight out of the Matrix, like the bullet time effect, where he's got like 5 cameras set up and it pans across.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. I saw that today and I'm like, damn. That's
so
cool.
What I think that is, Elgato, known for making a bunch of like stream related products. They recently released a new version of their CamLink, which is their capture card for cameras. And it's one, instead of being a USB capture card, it goes on the PCI Express slots, and it has 4 inputs, which is pretty huge. Like products like that exist, but they're not generally affordable. Like Blackmagic, who makes DaVinci, they also make a bunch of cameras and stuff, and they have like an 8-slot one that's $1,600. DaVinci?
I saw Caden's face light up as soon as you said DaVinci.
The DaVinci Code.
We need to get to that. We need to get to that. But no, so Elgato, they're kind of like the Apple of the stream gear. They make like the best stuff. Don't don't quote me on that. Apple doesn't make the best stuff, but like they make like the leading stuff, but it does come at that price premium. This Camlink Pro or whatever it's called is like the first time Elgato's released a product that's cheaper than every other product on the market by like a significant amount. It's only like $400 as opposed to like $800 for competitor products. So it looks like that was an integration with that because he just went pan through 4 cameras and he mentioned Elgato in the tweet. That was Mr. Greggles. I feel like we should credit him.
Yeah, Mr.
Nice
Greggles.
But
Yeah,
no,
it looks
Caden.
cool.
Did you say Mr. Goebbels?
Yeah,
Greggles.
Joseph.
Oh, okay.
His name
That's
was
all you hear,
Joseph Goebbels.
World War II. Did someone say anything relating to World War II or modern history in general? I'm really. Look, did you say Goebbels? Shut the fuck up.
That's kind of
Nerd.
about indie music.
I kind of want to bring up like a little tangent story because you, for some reason, reminded me of it. But
Joseph Goebbels reminded you of it.
it has to do with the Apple Watch, right?
Okay.
I think this was Boxing Day.
Yep.
So the Boxing Day, or like in between, like Christmas and New Year.
So
right?
a nice recent story.
nice and recent. Oh, was this? No, last year.
Anyway.
So not this time before COVID.
Oh shit! So like a while ago.
Yeah. I've just remembered.
What year do you think we're in, Caden?
I need
74,
to
right?
do something about this. So story time. It was just before New Year's. We were down at the beach. I was with some friends. We were having like a barbecue cookout, and we were just sitting down at the creek, having some beers, chilling out as you do. And just as we were about to leave, I've noticed an Apple Watch sitting in like the actual sandbank.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, surely it's someone's. I'm just going to leave it here until we go. And then obviously someone will come get it. No one came and got it. By the time we left, which was like basically as the sun was setting, I was like, okay, no one's coming back for this. Like someone's obviously forgotten it and left it and can't find it.
Everyone knows.
So me and a couple of friends, being the good Samaritans we are, picked up this Apple Watch and decided, oh, we'll post it on the local community fucking Facebook and be like, hey, missing Apple Watch. If you know where it should have been, let me know and I'll send it your way or something. And yeah, I still have that Apple Watch. I never posted it.
Oh shit!
I completely forgot about it. It's probably here somewhere.
So you never even made the post on Facebook, or?
I completely forgot I owned the thing until.
So
recently.
what's your plan now? You said you before launching this story, you said I need to do something about this. Are you gonna like make a post like, "Hey, I found this watch a year and a half ago"?
Yeah, I don't really know. To be honest,
I feel like it's yours now.
Well, that's the thing. You know how there's a time period where things, if no one claims something for a while, like now.
But generally, that's after you've handed it in.
Does that count for things you never wanted to? You never went to give away.
Like, look, okay. So the way I see it, you have 2 options. You either have a new Apple Watch, or you give it to a police station, I guess. And then because it's been so long, they won't find someone, and then you'll have a new Apple Watch.
The thing is, I know it works because when you press the button, like when I found it again, when you press the button, it just says no battery.
Okay.
I remember when we picked it up, it said the same thing. So I was like, oh, I'll charge it. I'll find the owner. Never charged it.
Well, you need the proprietary Apple Watch charger to charge it.
Yeah.
Can you not do the Samsung Pass thing?
Oh, you might be able to do the reverse wireless charging. Ooh. Yeah. Do you know where the watch is? Like, is it accessible to you?
Now it was on my desk.
Because if you like reverse wireless charge it, and then someone like sees their Find My iPhone in the middle of the podcast come up, they drive to your house and like kill you for their watch. That'd be great content.
Can you fucking imagine somebody somebody got their Apple Watch for Christmas. They lost it at the sandbank, and they're like, "That sucks. I guess I don't have a watch anymore."
They waited a whole year to get a new one.
A year and 6 months passed, and like Caden posts something on his local Facebook group and is like, "Hey, I found this Apple Watch at the sandbank. If anybody's lost one," and that person looks at that post and is like, "That can't be mine."
Oh, they're looking at their post on the new Apple Watch, and they're like, "Just 1 minute.
Hold on a second." Crazy. I want to get a bit meta here for a second. Because
podcast about podcasts.
Yeah, all about this podcast, what's happening in this podcast. So Dan, ever since we've done this new setup where Dan is just recording the audio onto his, like straight from us, we're not recording any audio ourselves independently anymore. It's very difficult to keep track of the time unless you're Dan, because Dan, is keeping track of the time externally. So he's put up a stopwatch.
Yeah, I've realized I probably should have been
yeah.
doing this since we started doing it like this.
And I want to
guys...
commend Dan, because now I know how long it is. But then Caden, while he was telling that story, had a pen in his hand. So Dan went to another tab, and he got Google open, and then it says he just typed into Google, "Stop clicking pen, please." And Caden was telling his story, keeping clicking the pen.
Didn't read it, kept clicking. I was like,
yep. And then Dan was just highlighting it, not highlighting it. It was a very funny visual that nobody will see.
No.
But mainly, I just want to say, Dan,
that.
I know how long we're into this podcast now, and now I'm happy.
Are you happy, or do you look at that and realize, my goodness, we're only 11 minutes in?
I looked at that and went, holy fuck, it's been 11 minutes since we started.
No, you know what? We actually haven't touched on any of the topics that I have written down for this week, and I wanted to start with something that me and Joseph have been talking about for like an extremely long time, but I'm not sure it's ever broken into the podcast. Hey Joseph, if you had to guess what the number one game of the week on PSN was this week, what would your guess be?
Is it a game from 2013?
You would be correct. It's Grand Theft Auto 5. 8 years in a row, that game has consistently been in the top 10 sales for the PlayStation, like the PS3 version, and then when
other games.
Well, so the reason this
very
caught my eye again, I saw
we're in 3 different generations since then.
Very much so. So it recently got, I think this week, like a couple of days ago, it got added onto Xbox Game Pass, Grand Theft Auto 5, meaning that anyone with that subscription, and that has like a subscriber base in the millions, has Grand Theft Auto 5, so that's another couple million of copies like it's been distributed to. And also, we're on the verge of the next-gen console releases of Grand Theft Auto 5 dropping again.
Are they actually releasing like PS5?
Yes, PS5 and Xbox versions. And that also means with how Xbox works, and it's what they call smart delivery, where unlike PlayStation, who makes you buy the games again for next gen, when you buy the game on Xbox, you just have the game, and if it releases with if you have the Xbox One version and a Series X version comes out, you get the Series X version for free. That means that because it's on Game Pass, another couple million copies of Grand Theft Auto go out, which they get to count in their statistics as like new copies, I imagine. So
it's absolutely insane.
It is.
I don't understand how. Like, I just couldn't sit through the wait screens. It fucking infuriated me.
Well, apparently, I forget where I heard this. Somebody modded.
Daniel,
somebody
you heard
went
this
into
from me.
Yeah, did you? Did you say it on the podcast?
I think we talked about it on the stream, but it's such an interesting story.
Yeah, a modder was like, I fixed the load times. It was just this like one simple little thing, line of code or something.
So what was happening?
Then,
so this guy basically, for like, it was, I think it might have been like a student, was like, oh, I was just having a poke around reverse engineering Grand Theft Auto, and I was like, well, I mean, for people who are into that kind of stuff, it is as you do. Like, I go to uni, I do software engineering, and I have some friends who are very into like the security part of it, which involves like ethical hacking, let's call it, and they'll have assignments like reverse engineer a piece of code, and then the one guy I'm friends with, he will go and do it to bigger applications as well. And sometimes it comes to like great avail like this. So this guy's reverse engineering is like, I wonder if I can figure out what's taking so long in these load screens, specifically on PC. And he gets in there and he's looking, and he's managed to break it down into like the couple functions that are happening, and he's stepping through, and he notices that while they're trying to load something, they're reading a type of file called a JSON file, which is basically like a text file with fancy formatting. And it's like, it looks for something, and then it reads the whole file. And then it looks for something, and it reads the whole file. And in the list of things it's looking for, there's like 1,000 things. And every single time it reads the file again to check if something matches up. Which, as you can imagine, if that file is a long file, so they're reading a couple thousand things, and there's a couple thousand lines in this file, like 1,000 times 1,000, that astronomically increases the amount of like different queries it has to do. And so he noticed this and was like, I bet I can write some code to fix this. and he like optimized or reads the file once and then saves it into memory or whatever. And he managed to reduce the load times by something ridiculous by like 90% or something. And Rockstar paid him like $10,000 for finding and patching that. Yeah, and I think he might have got a job offer. I'm not sure if it's been patched yet into the official code because like when you're the most successful entertainment piece of entertainment of all time, it's a bit of a process to get something to put in the code. But I'm sure like that fix is coming.
Holy fuck!
So yeah, it's like a fucking crazy story.
Yeah.
It's like that has been persisting for 8 years,
and it's only been getting worse the more they've been updating GTA Online.
Yeah, how
the
fucked? How
screens are
fucked is that?
disgusting.
That they were just like, look, there's nothing we can do about it. We're not going to check. And then they had to pay this guy $10,000 because he did it in his own spare time.
I take my hat off to like anyone that can read, write, and understand code because it is.
Except Dan.
I'll give it to Dan.
I have a button on our stream that makes it the Snyder Cut. I'm the most influential coder of our time.
I don't think that's difficult.
My pastime for the past few days.
But can you do
have been
Kirby?
If I tried,
I don't think you could, Kobe. I honestly don't think you could.
well, not on this.
Not
stream.
without formal education of some some
That's what your formal education will get you.
Snyder Cut.
Is a meme on a Twitch
Snyder
stream. No, for the past few days, I've been re-indulging myself in Michael Reeves.
Yes. Oh, he released a new video for the first time in like 6 months.
Yeah. So it popped up and I watched it and I was like, fuck, I miss Michael, man. I'll go back and watch his old stuff. Dude's genius.
He's like a psycho genius.
Like a mad scientist kind of genius.
So I think him as like a case study of a popular YouTuber is an extremely like interesting one because you're right, he uploads like so infrequently that when he does, I always go back and I watch like 2 or 3 of his other videos at least.
Yeah.
And so every time he drops a video, all of his other videos must be getting like boosts as well. He must be fucking killing it, and that's because his videos are like legitimately interesting.
But it appeals to everything. Like even like the fucking IT side of me like was like genuinely interested in it, but even when it gets to a point where it's a bit over my head, it's still kind of in a way that's somewhat interesting and is kind of like entertaining because he doesn't go into extensive detail because he knows people aren't really that interested in that side of it. It is a little easier to digest. And even just like his sense of humor and shit like that is like pretty entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. So like
meme culture.
On what you're saying, like the video that kind of blew him up was the Roomba that screams when it bumps into stuff. Where basically he got like a Roomba and put a computer on it. Whenever it detected a collision, it swore. And when he was like, in his videos, like he follows kind of like what you'd expect the formula would be for the video, where he like explains the premise, shows the process, troubleshooting, and then like result, like kind of like your typical story structure of like orientation, complication, resolution. But when he's explaining the code and stuff, which it's like fairly complex stuff that he's doing. He does it in like an interesting and funny way, and he'll like make fun of it, and it'll go by in just the right amount of time where it's like an interesting and accessible video. And there's not many other science creators that are doing stuff like that. Very few of them strike that balance, and especially not with ideas that are as creative as he does. Like the video he released was a dog that pisses beer. He literally has the Boston Dynamics dog and makes it piss beer.
The whole thing in context.
Oh, do you want to go for it?
Because this is the thing, like he has a knack for taking really, really genius ideas and making them stupid, and it's entertaining to watch that fact. So like the biggest thing at the moment is like Boston Dynamics and them engineering like these basic like robot dogs that can traverse terrains and can like basically learn how to traverse new terrains and blah blah blah. And Boston Dynamics basically came out with this like Spot dog basically, which was their cleanest version of one of their products like in ever, and they've started outsourcing it to other people.
It's like the first consumer version of one of their products that they've released.
Hi.
Oh.
I'm just recording something, Bob.
Bye.
It's basically like the first time that they've been able to make it commercial. and like they first outsourced it to like different companies and like smaller like I guess businesses and stuff like that. And now it's somewhat commercial.
Now you can actually
everywhere.
buy it. When they first released, they were only doing it with like contracts with industry partners, and now you can just buy one if you have like 15 grand to kill.
So this
Well,
thing's
we
like
might.
super high tech and like futuristic and really, really like inventive and creative. And he just
It's literally the
essentially
forefront of like robotics technology, and yeah.
And he made it pee beer.
and he makes it piss beer.
Because he knows
on
what
command.
he knows what men want.
He
A
knows,
dog
and that's
to
it.
piss beer.
He's like the Elon Musk of the internet.
He's the
Honestly,
Elon
I
Musk
think
of bad ideas.
if him and Elon, like, that, I feel like that's a collab waiting to happen. Michael Reeves and Elon.
100%.
He's gonna get a Tesla and, like, make it cause car crashes or something. Like, it's gonna be...
What kind of Teslas are you
But it's
looking
like
at?
essentially like it's smart because he goes in and he explains like he like before it used to just be sweet and simple. Like it's funny, I go back to one of his older videos to this one. His older videos he just used to use trash and junk and put it together and would just like make these
I mean,
contraptions.
he one of his older videos is him making a car drive with using his mind. I don't think it's using like the.
I think
what-
Caden's talking about when he'd get, like, a dick and fucking make it fly or something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, like it used
That
to just
is
be like
funny.
little
That's pretty
shitty
funny.
scrap
But
parts.
he has, like, increased throughout the years. Like, there was the videos that stand out to me is, like, the robot that gets the tomatoes out of his salad, and he has, like, just a shitty webcam,
It's-
and then, like, an industrial strength piston that shoots a metal rod into a tomato. And then he went from that to, like, the baby killing drone,
Yeah.
which was a drone that used,
That's
like,
also for Blake.
image recognition to, like, identify a baby and then send a drone swarm of drones with knives on them. And then he got he joined Offline TV, and now he has a budget behind him. He's able to do stuff like the piss dog and the surgery robot. And
Mm.
It's just cool like seeing
Crazy.
him grow not only as a content creator but also as an engineer.
yeah, well,
Like
and making, like, STEM accessible to the masses, which is a thing that, like, the education industry has been struggling for years.
The video he does
'Cause it is
with
pretty
like the
boring,
whole
mostly.
the video he does as like the surgical gear is like pretty fucking ingenious in a way. Like having
I think the
essentially, like,
elevator
your
pitch
hand-
for that one was he had like basically a hand tracker that moved an arm. Like the idea you'd be able to like operate on something remotely, and then he used it to like stab up a dummy. Basically,
just attached a giant.
could you
fucking
imagine
knife to
living
stab
in the
him.
offline TV house with him? Because he apparently he goes around like tormenting people with tasers and shit. Like that must be the most
It'd be pretty
fearful
funny.
existence.
I mean,
There's a video
I'd rather
around-
Michael Reeves taser me than Fedmeister.
There's
sexual
there's
What?
a
Anyone
I mean, that did happen. That
That
Fed,
did happen.
Fed did
Yeah.
do a bad.
Yeah, can't.
there's a video on offline TV, and I don't really watch offline TV. I'm not a fan, but the clip posted up on my feed the other day, and it's fucking hilarious. But they have like a secret Santa thing for Christmas, and they're all like giving each other gifts, and he gets his gift was to anyone who got it a 50-gallon drum of crude oil. just because
It's so
Like,
fantastic.
it's just funny and it's entertaining and it's smart and it's cool and you like it. I feel like it's the perfect like a culmination of like someone who could really do well if he wanted to, but just misses that mark and does anything else.
Entertainment, baby. It's
On the
best
topic of rubber ducks, if any of you ever find yourselves in a Secret Santa situation, on Amazon, 60 rubber ducks for $17. Perfect
Steal.
gift. You'd be losing money if you didn't do it. So make
Oh
sure
my God,
Amazon.
Mr. Weasley would be losing his mind about that.
That's such an interesting pull.
What is the exact function of a rubber duck? What a movie.
What a movie
Fucking
indeed.
So speaking of tragedy, Prince Philip died. That's not a tragedy.
It is a tragedy.
I mean,
No,
it's
it's not.
it's always
Dark
upsetting that
Plagueist
someone
alive.
dies, but the interesting discourse I've seen on Twitter is so Prince Philip and DMX died in like fairly close proximity.
Can't separate their souls, baby.
That was a fantastic meme.
Forever entwined.
But so there's a lot of the discourse I saw on Twitter was like Prince Philip was a racist old white dude, while DMX was like black culture, and he also like helped people and was
Homophobic black
humble
dude.
and yes. But then so that was comparisons, and then in the comments people were like, well, DMX had his own shit as well. And this was all on like the day they died. So the thing I wanted to kind of discuss is what, as we kind of go into this internet age and also like the age of cancel culture and making sure people are held accountable for their actions, but also like these people are dying. How soon is it too soon on the day that they die to bring up all of their discretions and be like, fuck these people? Like, how long are you supposed to give people
Well,
to
it depends what context there is, you know? Like, I feel as though a lot of people's reaction to Prince Philip's death was mainly because there's a very, very large anti-monarch movement,
Lefties.
especially
and also the recent controversy with Meghan Markle.
yeah, and that too, which is, you know, it's very valid. It's a very, very valid criticism of the monarchy. Joseph disagrees because he's a fucking idiot. That's just my opinion, though.
You're a communist, basically.
No, I don't want to be taxed.
You don't.
I don't want to be taxed by the
you've got-
government. I hate the government.
So you've gone so right that you've gone
I'm
left.
big
You've
time
wrapped
left.
around.
So left that you've
It's
gone
the
right.
horseshoe theory, baby.
Well, no. Left is opposite. Left is big government.
Yeah, I hate the government.
I'm
You
confused
keep pronouncing
now.
the N in the
I am
government.
too.
Government. Anyway,
Everyone
Government.
knows that it has a B and it's government.
yeah, government. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I feel it's just dependent on the context, and like it's always going to happen. There are
I
always
think it's
going
going to
to be
happen now
people-
because
Yeah, it's
everyone's
like
stopped.
everybody's
Because
able to
everyone who's
say
famous
shit.
is a piece of shit, it turns out.
Yeah, everybody is able to just like hide behind the banner of something when somebody, you know, with any monicum of fame is in the news. You know,
Mm.
it's very easy to just
Good
be
word,
like, well,
Monicum. Excellent.
yeah, thank you very much. It's
it's
easy
going to
to
happen
go
a
like,
lot now, though, because
Well, but I feel like there's
homophobic.
times recently where I thought it would happen and it didn't. So, when Sean
there's
Connery
pick and
passed
choose.
fairly recently, he has a lot of like misogyny. There's the famous interview where he said it's okay to hit women and stuff.
Well, that's not what he said. If you actually watched the interview, but still, I'm not
Yeah,
defending.
that's
him.
exactly what he said. That's exactly word for word what he said.
No,
He said,
no, he
as long
said-
as you don't hit them with a closed fist, an
No, no,
open
no.
hand slap is acceptable.
No,
That's
no,
word for word
So-
what he said.
So I'm not going to let Sean Connery be.
all right.
So-
See.
But anyway, before Joseph defends that,
Woman beater.
I didn't see the same amount of discourse on Twitter when he passed away, and I feel like, is it because like that was longer ago, and since then he's become more and more revered because of like who he is as Bond, and I feel like there's like an interesting like graph between like recency to any controversy and also like love in people's minds, and I feel like if they're too loved, anything will get brought up like immediately, but if they're at like moderate to high love and the controversy was like a while ago, then it probably won't get thought of. Or if there's a recent controversy and they're anyone, they're gonna get like fuck you.
I think it's depending on who you follow on Twitter. Really,
that is
as
true.
well.
I do have like my lefty Twitter bubble. Yeah.
So you know that's also a part of it. But I also guess that people dying is never a good thing, unless you know they're an actual terrible human being.
I
Adolf.
think
in
the
which
only
case,
thing
none of
you
the
should be
people
making
that-
fun of someone when they die is if they. I think sexual assault and things like that are the two things, and like rape and stuff. Okay, then you can make fun of.
I
them
feel like
as
I
much as
feel
you want.
at that point like I wouldn't begrudge someone for not mourning like a rapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just
Like to give a hard example, like if Kevin Spacey dropped dead tomorrow and people were like "fuck you,"
that's
fair
fine.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine.
Nobody's gay now, so then yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't have sexually assaulted anyone because he's gay now.
That's
Well, that was
true.
the whole thing about being gay. back
Hey,
in
do you want
the
to
day,
know a
but-
fun fact? I'm not sure if I've ever said this on a podcast, but I've said it a bunch to you guys offline. So the kind of the whistleblower and all that was actor Anthony Rapp, who's in Star Trek Discovery.
Yes, yeah.
I'm friends with him on PlayStation. That's
Oh, you
that's
know,
a
you
true
told me-
fact.
You've brought this up.
That's
You've
a
brought
true
this up.
fact. He was
It's
on-
because
He was on the
Yeah.
Kind of Funny Games Daily, and he kind of advertised his PSN ID on that show, being like, "Oh, just add me." And I don't think he expected like the torrent of people adding him, so I kind of got in early on that because I watched that episode live and I added him, and he added me back. But since then, he's privated his profile. So, anyway,
Well, what I was gonna say, I think we're talking about like when you're a pedophile, things like that.
okay.
Look, like when it comes to Prince Philip, and I think even DMX, they're very much products of their time in terms of that sort
I
of
think
Philip
Prince
is
Philip
a
definitely
product.
is a product of his time. I don't think
Yeah.
that defends any of the things he said and done, but like that is
that-
that is a factor. Like the same.
that
It'd be
wasn't what I was
hypocritical
thinking.
of me to hold that against him and then have like the stance I took on like James Gunn, for example, whereas like those tweets were a while ago. Things have changed. He's apologized. Like Prince Philip does have a history of gaffes, let's call it, where he's said
To be
and
fair,
done
if
shit.
you-
But he
if
is
you
like an
look-
old ass dude from a
most of
different
his
time. But it
stuff-
also doesn't
Most
excuse
of his
it.
stuff were done as jokes. I don't think.
But
I'm not
it's also
defending
like
Like-
a joke is when two people laugh,
Yes,
Joseph.
there
and some of the
still
things
is
he
A
said.
level of
Well, no,
accountability.
just
all the
not
white people
like-
in the room laughed.
Yeah. If I
Take
say
that.
the N word in a room half full of white people and half full of black people,
You'll
and the
be
white people
murdered.
laugh, it's
Well,
automatically a funny joke, isn't it, Joseph?
Well, technically for you, I'd say both would, but
No, Joseph, no. You fucking moron. You dumb cunt.
I think
you
you'd be
stupid
beaten.
idiot.
Anyway,
I
but like
think-
even like
I
on
don't think
DMX,
he's
for example,
angry.
he does have like the history of like the homophobia and stuff. But I also saw a bunch of things on Twitter of people showing like times he'd just like rock up to like random like small town restaurants and like help them close and like mop the floors and stuff, or like times he'd like people had like experiences of him like giving him money and stuff when they were the short. So like he has you have to like take
you
into
gotta think of the
account.
rap game back then as well. Like, look at Eminem. Well, all of Eminem's stuff was
Yeah.
incredible, but he's not. Doesn't mean he's a homophobe. You say something homophobic.
Yeah, and I think if
especially
you
in
like
a song.
DMX not as prevalent in 2021, I'm sure if you spoke to him, like he would apologize. And
Especially back in the 2000s, it was very easy to get wrapped up.
I mean, that was what it was.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like casual homophobia was something that was existed back then. Like you could say words like as an insult, like fag and gay and stuff like that. Not that you would use them anymore. What's wrong?
Dan's
What's
Dan's
what's
you
wrong?
We are skating a line.
talking
Say
about it
the
in a
word. My God.
One
Yeah,
giggle
we're
from
okay,
Joseph and we
we're
would have been
okay.
over.
Oh, well, Joseph was going
Twitch
to go.
is
You
not okay.
fucking left.
So Joseph, Kobe can say those words, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, I can't. I'm using them in a anyway. But yeah, it's stuff like that was we'd say that in primary school. That was like stuff that we'd insult each other with. in
Everything
primary
was
school.
gay in primary school. So you didn't like something, it was gay.
Yeah, and
I
we've
remember,
all changed.
I remember
since
actually
then.
in high school. I remember in
even-
high school. It was in
like
year
only
11
to,
or
like,
12.
3
We
years
were in
ago.
Joseph and I was sitting in history class. And our teacher was like, and you've got homework. And then Joseph out loud said, "Sir, but homework, that's gay." And then the teacher called him out on it and is like, why'd you use the term gay in that way? And Joseph was caught off guard, being called out as a homophobe, the raging homophobe he is. It was very funny.
Not ready for it.
No. But yeah, no, I thought that was just like
It's
an
just
interesting
the way we
bit
grew
of
up.
discourse.
Like, not to what's it like?
I mean, look, I feel like if you,
Seriously,
an
like,
adage
that's-
I've heard, I can't remember who said it, but if you're not looking back on yourself from like a year ago, 2 years ago, and cringing, probably a bad thing. Like, if you look at me, like fucking in year 12, and there's some of the things I said and did, like fuck yeah, no.
You were a weeb.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't
if we
a weeb.
scroll
Never
far,
been
if we
into anime.
scroll too far up in the group chat, you'll find.
I mean,
some
look, all
nuggets.
you have to do is look at my YouTube channel and see how cringe I was.
All you have to do
Yes.
is look at Dan's screenshots.
We don't go
He's-
there, Joseph. We don't.
His how to cancel the boys screenshots.
I do have a
Oh
folder.
yeah, he
of,
does. He
Of
does have
things
a folder.
ripped from context.
Context was there, but Dan didn't need it.
I did not. It's that
Well,
folder's so
no, he didn't
interesting
want
because
it.
just some of the chat names, it's all beautiful pictures, just beautiful moments of time. But anyway, boys, I have. Before we get into Falcon and the Winter Soldier talk, which is a big, Caden and Joseph have caught up, and we had a very interesting episode,
Yeah.
and I do want to get into it.
I'm up to date, baby.
But I did want to raise one thing.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with a bit of
A
preamble,
child?
a bit of a lead-in. What is your guys' opinion on brands being funny on Twitter, like wacky brands like Wendy's?
Silence brand. It's my opinion.
Depends
Hello,
on
fellow
how
kids.
depends on how like entertaining or funny it is. Like if it's something that's like nice, you fucking nailed it. Yeah, sure. But if something that's kind of like
Caden, you here?
what?
You dropped for a
You
couple
cut out.
seconds.
Yeah,
You
you
dropped
dropped.
out for like 1 second, and then you guys just interrupted.
Oh,
What the fuck?
Oh,
If it's
I
something
thought he was
like
gone.
funny, if it's something
He's
funny
back
and
again.
genuine, like
Oh, he's gone.
yeah, like it'll be hilarious. It'll be funny. Like there's a couple companies that nail it, but then like a large majority of companies just make it
Do not.
really cringy and like awkward. You're just
So-
like, why the fuck would you bother?
So Twitter held like a March Madness brands bracket basically on like the Twitter official Twitter account, which pitted a bunch of like the brand accounts against each other in a competition because capitalism. And it came down to the final two between Xbox and Skittles. And both of the companies, in order to kind of get their fans to
Which one
support
said the
them,
N-word?
neither. Positive story. Positive story. Skittles was like, oh, if we win, we'll bring back the fucking lime Skittle or some shit. And then Xbox said, if we win, we'll release official licensed Xbox Series X mini fridges because of like the criticism of that console was it looks like a fucking
mini
fridge.
Yeah.
So, Xbox ended up winning the bracket. And Aaron Greenberg, who is head of, I forget his title, head of something or other over at Xbox, was like, yep, it's official. They're going to be producing Xbox Series X mini fridges towards the end of the year. So
How do
I think
get one.
I'm definitely going to buy one. There's going to be
How
one
much are they?
there.
Has
that
price?
does not
Nothing
look like
confirmed.
a mini fridge.
No, that's
Let's put
not
this
a
way.
real shot of what it is. But so they've
Okay.
made these mini fridges and sent them out to influencers as part of the Series X launch, and it's not huge. It's like that big. For audio listeners, it's like the size of my head and not very wide.
Again, audio listeners, you have to just imagine Dan's head.
He's got a big head.
It's
He's got a
ginormous.
pretty big head.
Have you seen
It
the
could
movie
probably
Megamind?
fit- it
It's
could
like
prob-
that,
If,
but
if
less
it's
blue.
compared to Ninja's fridge, everybody's seen Ninja's Red Bull fridge. How big is it compared
Slightly
to Ninja's
narrower.
Red Bull? Okay.
But approximately the same height. You could fit definitely some Red Bull in there. Not as cool as Ninja, not as sponsored. Doesn't smell as much like your mother's boxes Steppenwolf. These are all
Okay.
stream gags. Follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Slalt. But what's your guys' opinion on a company literally like manufacturing a product to win a Twitter poll?
I think it's gold. I
If-
think
I mean,
if a company can like
capitalism.
if a company can get in behind like their people based on a joke, even just for shits and gigs, whether it's a marketing ploy or whatever, I think it's kind of funny. There's plenty of like companies that have done it in the past. Fuck, we were talking about him before. Look at Elon Musk. Dude did a flamethrower just because
The
it was funny.
flamethrower, like the Tesla tequila, the Boring Company hats, like all that shit.
Like that kind of shit is like, yeah, sure, it can be a bit of marketing. Yeah, sure, it's just more money in the bank. But fuck, dude, on the lighter side of things, it's pretty entertaining just to see, hey, this really like rich giant company or man or whatever did this really fucking dumb thing and it's funny. Let's all invest.
And they're gonna make a lot of money from suckers getting
Exactly. That's kind of what my angle is. Like, it's cool, and fucking you guys know I do love a good brand being funny on Twitter. But there is kind of like when the company's Microsoft, one of the biggest tech companies in the world, who's having so many like, there's always like the allegations, you know. And then, especially Microsoft at the moment, where everyone's like, "Oh, Bill Gates caused COVID" or whatever. It does feel weird to have like that on one hand, and on the other hand, they're like, "Hee, we're Xbox, we make fridge."
We got mini fridge.
It's just kind of an interesting part of capitalism.
It's just capitalism. It is what our forefathers fought for.
Like, imagine 30 years ago telling someone that Wendy's yelled at you on Twitter.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What's Twitter?"
Yeah, who's Wendy?
No, Wendy's was around back then. Wendy's.
It was just a joke.
You
It was
fucking-
Yeah,
just a
well,
joke.
maybe
What was the
for
guy's
someone
name,
who's
Dave?
so
Tell
wrapped
me.
up in history, why aren't you interested in Wendy's history? You know, why don't you remember why don't you know when Wendy's was invented or
I'm
created?
going to absolutely
Dave
destroy
Thomas, I was
Wikipedia,
right. Yeah.
all because of you. I'm gonna become #1 Wendy's contributor.
Okay, we don't.
How
have
come Wendy's in
here.
Australia is shit compared to Wendy's in the US?
Is there a
Was it
Wendy's, in Australia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's just it's like
different.
just milkshakes and stuff though.
Yeah, but it's a completely different
Oh.
brand.
Oh,
I'm sure.
you're meaning Wendy's the ice cream donut.
Yeah,
place.
ice cream donut competitor.
No,
to
that's
Donut
not
King.
Wendy's though.
It's different. Two different.
Did you know there's
brands.
Wendy's the burger
Hashtag
place
not my
in
Wendy's.
New Zealand? In New Zealand.
Did you know that menu log in America is called Just Eat?
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I found that out. You know the ad with Snoop Dogg in it?
Yeah.
I
I saw it on TikTok.
I saw it on
different
TikTok,
one,
yeah, Just Eat, and I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't think Menulog had the funding behind it to get Snoop Dogg. And it does make a lot of sense that
I see.
that it's a bigger company.
Why are they called Menulog here but Just Eat in America?
So I think Menulog was a company on its own first here, and then they got acquired by Just Eat
They got
Food Group or whatever.
integrated
And now
Also,
into the system.
Australians tend to disagree with many things American, just out of spite.
such as gun laws.
Yeah.
and
Except,
shit.
except when it comes to
Actually-
like politicians, everyone is
it's-
just an idiot.
It's funny. I got an actual like real first-hand experience on, for some reason, why Australians and Americans can't get along. Working at no, hear me out.
I was just like, that's a very
working-
like strong question. Strong.
More or less like why we all just disagree sometimes. I worked at Blues Fest one year, doing like stagehand crew work and stuff like that.
Remember
Which is
that.
just like a big music festival up near me. And with a lot of these acts, like this was obviously before COVID, a lot of these acts are like interstate or all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the bigger acts are coming in from overseas. And the different assortment of crews was funny, but the ones that stood out the most was the American crew, because the way that like the Aussies, like we would basically run the shows and stack the gear and set everything up, was completely opposite to the way that they did things. And it was just always butting heads. It was always like, no, we got to do this like this. You got to stack the truck like this, or you got to put that in this area and not this area because that's how we normally do it at shows. And it was a nightmare.
Yeah, it is really is like American stupidity butting heads with Australian stubbornness. Like
Yeah.
it would have
was
been
just
easy to
nonsense.
compromise, but it was like, nah, fuck you.
And so
It
that's
was
like
nonsense.
that's such like the simplest thing of like people who have differences. Just the most small thing that is so inconsequential. Just like not getting along and just being like, no, we do it this way. This is how we do it. And then the other group is like, fuck you. This is how we do it. No, I reject it.
And speaking to the boneheadedness and stupidness of America, we're about to go into full spoiler talk for Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episodes 1 through 4. So if you haven't
I'm
seen them
ahead
yet, pause the podcast,
ahead.
watch all 4 episodes, it's a good show, and then come back.
It's a good show.
Come back.
I'm a head out, not because I haven't watched the show, but because I hate doing 15 minutes of talking about a TV show.
Well, I've got nothing to. I don't really understand. Like,
Okay, it might not go for 15 minutes, but well,
I don't think
anyway,
it's gonna go-
I had a good segue and you guys are butchering it. No.
Well, you're a fuckwit. How about that, dickhead?
Whoa.
That's fair. That's fair. But
Yeah.
so in the most
Maybe
recent
send his
episode.
ankles
Oh, actually,
yesterday.
before we get into the most recent episode, Kane and Joseph, you guys pretty much this week watched the whole show. Do you want to give you like your 15-second review of what you think so far?
There's a timer up, so
Um,
we can time 15 seconds.
Very good. I think it's taken my expectations to a different plane. I thought it was just going to be this boring, zany internet.
Marvel show.
What the fuck are you doing, Kobe?
No, we were doing it. We were doing a thing.
Dan took the timer away.
Kobe went, was like, "There's a timer," and I took it away.
And then he flipped me off.
I did.
Just flip me off.
I definitely reckon it's subverted my expectations. Subverted? Is that the right word?
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Because I wasn't expecting a lot going into it. I thought it was just going to be kind of dull, but it actually has like somewhat of an interesting plot line. I think it's kind of cool, and it has been played out fairly well, and I like it.
Joseph, what are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I watched it in one night and I really enjoyed it. I thought it's cool. I like how they like doing all the stuff in terms of like displaced peoples and thing like that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I
angle
do
to take,
think like
especially for Marvel.
the global repatriation effort is one of the most and like the whole like post blip world and how they're handling it in the MCU is one of the most interesting and like unique things about it.
Well, they basically not a
Well, good,
blank
and you
unit.
didn't say
They got a lot
WandaVision,
to work
Joseph.
with.
So
No, I didn't say WandaVision.
in WandaVision they touched on it, and then they touched on it like the tiniest little bit in Spider-Man: Far From Home in kind of like a more jovial way, and then in WandaVision they kind of touched on the reality of it, and then in Falcon and Winter Soldier they've blown it way open with like the concept of the Global Repatriation Council, the displaced peoples, the flag smashers. Pretty much like their motive is, oh shit, Thanos was right, it was better during the blip.
Well, they
But
like
see,
they
that's-
talked about, it's
that's
like
like
they letting
a-
their people, there was homes for people, like
There was hundreds of people
there
and
was
countries were
jobs.
welcoming, and like everyone was working together, and then everyone came back and it went back to the way it was, which is like
I feel like saying that what Thanos did was right is in hindsight, because
yeah, obviously.
like if the blip never happened, like if people didn't come back, the world was a better place. But if people never left to begin with, like everything would have been the same. Like no people would have been
It
displaced.
does reinforce like the whole like moral conundrum with what Thanos was doing. Like, what does the end justify the means? Because like now we've seen it. Oh, like the ends, like it was a good ends. Like it was like a meaningful and just ends, but it was an awful means. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd still disagree, because like we saw how even after 5 years in that world that people were still, they had to go to therapy. It was in
but if you
Endgame.
extrapolated
Okay,
Thanos' thing generations down the line, and like even
100%.
like there's like an interesting question there. A thing that I've sort of been seeing
You're
kicked around on
just
Twitter.
defending genocide. What you've
No,
done is defended
a thing
genocide.
that I've seen kicked around on Twitter
you've
is
just defended genocide.
it'd be cool if
so
Marvel
incorrect.
Studios did like as a TV show did like a 3-part in-universe docuseries about the snap and like kind of like fill in just from like a civilian level what was happening in
Where
those
is this?
5
Why
years.
haven't I seen it?
Well, it doesn't exist. I'm saying it'd be a cool thing if they did that.
It'd be a cool
Oh,
thing
sorry,
if it did
sorry,
it.
I
Which,
didn't
like,
know that.
you're right, it would be
Pitch
cool
something.
because it's such an interesting like time period in the MCU, and it's an interesting concept, and especially through the lens of Marvel, I think that'd be an interesting story.
The thing too is like the whole like MCU became so diverse up to that point, and even now afterwards, to where there's so much that we don't know that we're genuinely curious about, that you could just give it to us and we'd watch it, because it's like, oh, I have all these questions and I need answers.
Yeah, but anyway, diving into the show.
I think it's average. I think it's on par with every other Marvel thing. I'm gonna be a Joseph on this one.
Interesting.
What do you mean?
I
Big?
think,
I was
I think
gonna-
the format. I think the format of the TV show has elevated it, because you can get a little bit more in depth. You don't have to stick to just. You can have episode arcs, and then the overarch, like the bigger arc of the story, and you can do multiple perspectives and not be limited to like the 120
And
minute
like
runtime.
that is the benefit of them moving it to
That is-
television.
that's
I
the
think that's
be-
100% their goal. And the way what they're doing is they're kind of fleshing out the side characters in WandaVision and
Yeah.
now in this show, and it's working. Like, I'm sure if you asked someone 6 months ago, like, oh, you could have asked anyone and no one would have said Scarlet Witch was their favorite character. And now I'm sure there's a percentage of the audience who think that. And I'm sure, like, yeah, people liked Bucky and people liked Falcon, and now they're like, holy shit, these are, like, fleshed out, deep characters. They've given... Like, Bucky's backstory we knew, but they did flesh it out a little bit, like, in that first episode with the old Asian dude who Sonny killed. And then Falcon, now the stuff they're adding with, like, his sister and supporting the family, and how, like, even within the Avengers, he's B tier, like in universe, they kind of see him the same way we see him. And then
It's giving us like some much needed backstory on characters we never really thought about too much. Like we just kind of
characters who are
like
side
Falcon,
characters,
Soldier.
but now are going to be the main characters because the old main characters have retired. So I think the TV shows, like the plan is working in terms of bringing these characters to the forefront after Endgame, and they're kind of they're nailing it at the moment. Like regardless of what you
Definitely.
think of the quality of the MCU / the shows as a whole. But the big kind of thing that happened, the big thing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is, and you could tell from the marketing, that there's kind of the main thing the story is about is Falcon becoming the new Captain America after Captain America stepped down in Endgame. At the end of Endgame, he gave Falcon the shield, and then, like, with the expectation that he'd take up the mantle, and then in the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we see him give the shield away, because he feels like he's not worthy. And then, through the show, you feel like he's showing qualities of, like, a good Captain America, and that's kind of the arc of the show. But in the intermediary, they've appointed a new Captain America. They've appointed John Walker as Captain America, who was, like, a war hero, and is an established character from the comics. And obviously, the fan reaction was like, "No, fuck you! You're not Captain America."
That's the point.
That is the point, and I feel like they're nailing it because in this most recent episode, full spoilers if you haven't seen it, click away now if you don't want it to be spoiled. But
He kills a dude.
yeah, he brutally murders a dude in front of a bunch of people, and we see the most blood we've ever seen in any Marvel thing over the shield, which I feel like was an extremely powerful image. Like that shot is going to be shown forever. So
definitely.
Like, what were your guys' thoughts on that moment?
I think it's pretty interesting. Like you think about it, that whole scenario was definitely something that they wanted to stick out more and more, especially like with the growing character arc, like with not even just the Falcon, but with John Walker. And like the whole idea is, and like everyone's going crazy about it, it's like, what should today's Captain America be like, and what should he look like, and like who holds the right to call, I guess, who's a great Captain America. And John Walker, for example, ticks all those boxes like Steve Rogers did.
Well, yeah, on paper, because when they introduce him, they talk about like he earned 3 medals of honor. He's like, there's even like that kind of throwaway quip, like it's like, oh, Steve would jump on grenades. Have you ever done that? And he's like, oh yeah, I did a couple times actually, like my helmet or whatever that throwaway line. So on paper, yes, he's Captain America. But
so that's the thing. It's like, does that really make a good hero, or is it like why they're doing it and like the reasons behind it? So I think like the whole idea with showing him lose his cool because he actually really enjoys, I guess, the stardom of it, and like trying to fill those boots.
Like the show shows him going insane.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, because there's with his arc, there's kind of him becoming Captain America was the big reveal at the end of the first episode, and in the second episode, it opens with kind of his backstory of him, like the day before his first, or just before his first public appearance as Captain America, and he's talking to his friend, can't remember the character's name, but Battlestar, and the character's like, "You are Captain America. You've earned this. You've been training this forever." And then, yeah, he goes out there, and then when you see him in the field as Captain America, though, he, unlike as Steve Rogers Captain America, where he earned everyone's respect and then became the symbol, he's expecting that the symbol will automatically get him the respect, and I think the show's done a good, it's been very good at illustrating that point, and then it's shown him as he's not getting the respect, and people haven't been respecting him, he's slowly unraveling, to the point where we came into this most recent episode. And he's in the fight.
Standing outside of King's Landing, and then the bells started, and he was sitting on his dragon.
That's actually a fairly apt comparison.
Yeah, it is. And the bells started going off. You know, one thing about the actor's performance in the episode actually
Wyatt Russell,
is that at one point,
son of Kurt Russell,
is at one point I thought, like, I unironically thought he was going to call Sam the N-word. Like, just how he was...
And I think that's like, phenomenal acting on the behalf of that character.
It's that, like, how he acted struck better than that final moment where he, like, decapitated the dude.
Yeah, so obviously...
The acting throughout, like, I could see it coming from a mile away. I thought he was going to... I knew instantly as soon as he started running, I thought he was going to throw the shield and decapitate him.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, right. So I knew something.
I think him holding the shield and hitting him and like beating him to death in front of the crowd is a lot more visceral and like powerful.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that like I knew that was gonna. I had an inkling that something like that was gonna happen.
Yeah, you had the feeling that shit was about to go down.
I have a question.
I think more sort of like just the subtlety in the acting was what did it for me. Like just how he, you know those things that the actor would do. The Wyatt Russell did that just made you feel like, oh yeah, he is kind of going.
They put you on
crazy.
edge because you could tell someone was like about to snap.
And on the topic of that subtlety, so one of the main kind of plot points of this episode was there was a moment where where Baron Zemo asked Falcon, "Would you ever take the serum?" And he just straight up said, "No, absolutely not." Like the super soldier serum. And there was an opportunity then where John Walker came into possession of the super soldier serum. And my question for you is, when in the episode did you think he took it? Like when did that dawn on you? Oh shit, he took the serum.
When he asked Battlestar.
Did you think he'd already taken it when he asked Battlestar?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's what I read from it too, and I've heard differing opinions from everyone. Like people are like, oh shit, he took it after that conversation, he took it before.
I thought he took it after.
Well, so that's what I was like, to the subtlety of the acting. I feel like you could read it both ways. The way that I watched that episode, because he'd put the serum in his back pocket, and then I figured that he took it, and then he wanted to reassure himself, asking Battlestar, like, was it the right thing? But he phrased it, would you take it? And I think, that's like props to the actor, props to the writing. Like, they're nailing it at the moment. So we have
that's fair.
4 episodes left of the show, I think. Where do you guys think the show's heading?
It was a 6-episode run.
Oh, you're right. Actually, 2 episodes left of the show.
2 episodes left, yeah.
Wait, we got 2 episodes?
2 episodes left,
it's a 6-episode run.
Wasn't there a mid-season trailer that came out like today or yesterday or something? Shouldn't there be another 4?
No, it's 6. Kobe's right.
6.
Wow.
But yeah, where do you see this season driving?
You go first, Caden.
I kind of see it as one thing. I see it as, in a simple way, Falcon understanding that he needs to take the role by the balls and be the next captain, because he's been entrusted by not only his friend but the people around him that he has to do this, and he is the only kind of sheer willpower to be able to be the right person for it, whether he thinks it or not. Giving it to anyone else kind of defeats the purpose, and it also kind of lays waste to ruining this icon. I feel like he's the only person that can really do it justice. And I feel like that's only where it's going. Like, they're basically going to realize that this John Walker guy is going to get his shit clapped.
Yeah.
So I think Jon Snow is going to walk up to John Walker in a castle, and the dragon's going to be in the background, and John Walker is going to be like to Jon Snow, "So you want to fuck?" And then Jon Snow is like, "Yeah, I'll put it in you." And he put a knife in her, not his penis. And then the dragon just took the body and flew away. And that's how I think the season will end. But I also think...
Did I miss an episode?
I just think that... I think what people have speculated is that John Walker is going to become a US agent.
Yeah, well, that's the character he is in the comics.
Yeah.
A US agent, typically a good guy.
It's like a undercover, or like a CIA sort of undercover captain.
But I feel like he's gone too far now that he's a documented murderer to remain a good guy.
Yeah.
See, I feel as though the show...
I mean, that fucking the first episode, Falcon throws people out of a plane. Like, yes, you can still murder, but you can't murder good people and be a good guy.
But also, Falcon's like shot people.
Yeah, The Marvel's a lot looser on the killing.
Winter Soldier just brutally
but see, in context, right?
Like, I think the important thing was the guy surrendered, and then John Walker killed him.
Like, and it wasn't like a terrorist in a getup. It was a civilian looking dude. And I think the show was at its best when it makes you... He was a civilian. He wasn't wearing one of the masks. He was in civilian clothing. He was just running away from Captain America.
Well, are you saying... I'm saying for himself personally, not for the public.
What? Oh, I guess. But
like, I'm saying
anyway,
for himself. That's if he had a mask on, it doesn't matter compared to if he didn't, to himself.
I think death has a lot less consequences in the MCU than it does in, like, say, the DCEU. It's a lot less of a sticking point that the heroes kill people. That being said, like, the whole Captain America Civil War was based on, like, the Sokovia Accords and the consequences of their actions. But I think in MCU they're allowed to kill the bad guys. It's just when they kill good people.
Not in the DCU.
That's what I'm saying. That's where the difference is. In
the comics, definitely, but in the movies, I don't think it matters that much.
Well, I think that the show is at its best when it makes you forget that it's a Disney property, right? I think that's when it's at its best, and too often...
Even
too
too,
often
when you
it's
have to-
like slipping out of like I remember that we're back like this isn't Daredevil, which is what I would
Which was the
that's
Disney
what
Like I
What
think
want
all
the
of the Madripoor
show to
stuff
be.
felt so like unique for the MCU.
All the what? Sorry.
Yeah.
Madripoor when they're in the fictional city where
But even then I still
Oh,
felt
yeah.
like it's a bit more gritty, yeah, but it's not
I mean you can only
it
go so
was-
far in PG storytelling.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
not
so
gonna
it's a bit annoying when I'm watching it and I'm going like
you
I'm
want to
getting
actually
into
hit
it.
hard, sort of thing.
Yeah,
like,
and then like it pulls back afterward, and then it.
But like the Sharon Carter fight scene and stuff, like she was stabbing people and fucking shooting people. Like that was
Yeah.
like
I think like
this show is some of the most brutal action of all of the MCU.
Yeah, and
it's
it's
a lot
allowed.
of high
It can
bars,
do
but
that, right?
Still, yeah. I
It
don't
can
get
do
it.
that, but sometimes it still pulls punches in certain areas outside of the action that just brings you back into like
Are you talking about the BLM stuff?
no,
But that's an
Um,
important thing. But we did touch on that a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
Oh, did we?
I
Yeah,
think
I didn't.
I
Listen.
think
I wasn't
like
there.
the biggest draw away from, I guess, recent MCU movies is like the fact that you have to question who's got the right motive in these kind of films. Like I feel like that's a really good like trope in storytelling is when you
Like
can sit
Jetpack
there
Man.
and yeah,
Like Jetpack Man.
you
God,
can
I miss him.
you sit there and you actually you sympathize with both sides and you're torn as to like who's really fighting for the right reasons or like who's right or who's wrong. I think like it's good to be able to have, I guess, a villain that you can empathize with and be like, fuck, maybe he's got a point.
damn
British
crazy.
John Walker,
And
not
speaking of the villains, I'm gonna be the villain and end this podcast.
Well, I was gonna say yeah. It's safe to say we're all keen to
Ooh.
keep watching the show, and we
Ooh.
probably will. If the finale's worth talking about it, we'll touch on it in 2 weeks.
I think it will be. It's supposed to
so
open
do
up
I.
for Black Widow, isn't it?
no.
Well, so Black Widow's a
was meant to
prequel.
open for this.
Yeah,
Wait,
Black
Black Widow
Widow
was
was-
opening for
Black
this.
Widow.
Black Widow was supposed to come out before this show. That's why
Yeah.
they held it for so long. So this was supposed to be the first thing to come out. This was supposed to come out before WandaVision, but they've
Yeah.
had to like restructure things.
Uh.
So I think the post-credit scenes might be slightly different to how they originally intended. But
Yeah,
Are
okay.
there post-credit scenes?
not in Falcon and Winter Soldier thus far. But I'd watch out for one next week because it was like the last couple of episodes was when WandaVision started sprinkling them in.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Kobe, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at _50Kobe55_ and at South_bound_band. I'm wearing my t-shirt. It's a Southbound. I'm too fat now. This is too.
Joseph, where can the people find you?
There you go, Roldy.
On
There you
Instagram.
go, Roldy. Instagram. Yep.
Caden?
How do you spell it?
GARIBALDI.
The V is silent. Caden, where can the people find you?
You can check me out at my band on Instagram, at Verum_Verum.band. I forgot it for 2 seconds. We do cool shit like make music and shit.
They do
Damn.
cool things. You can find me at DanielF737 on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow the Slalt at Slaltcast on all of the social media platforms. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you want to see our pretty little faces. Speaking of seeing our pretty little faces, this podcast is also available as a video on YouTube. Make sure you head over to YouTube, search up Slalt, and when you find us, hit that subscribe button so we can get a vanity URL. We also stream this podcast every single Wednesday live on Twitch at around 8 o'clock Sydney time. I
Give or
guess that's
take.
Australian Eastern Standard Time at the moment. So head over to twitch.tv/Slotcast, drop a follow, because Twitch deleted half of our followers.
Yeah.
Because they're all bots, but anyway, that's beside the point. And to wrap up this week's show, Joseph is going to give us, in the form of a Raw, his review of Godzilla vs. Kong.
Riveting, Joseph.
That was really disappointing. should
Well,
be
I
really
couldn't do an
disappointed.
actual Raw because there's like people. names.
Kobe is going to give us Joseph's Raw.
Here we go.
Thanks for listening. Please remember to leave a positive rating wherever you're listening from, and to follow our socials, at Slotcast on Twitter and Instagram.